Live from Rialto, California, Mark and Andre present The Mark and Andre Show. Tonight's topic, Chappelle Show. Is it acceptable today? And if not, why? And here are your hosts, Mark and Andre. Thank you guys for tuning into another exciting episode of the Mark and Andre Podcast Show. I'm your host, Mark Flores, and tonight with me, as always, is my co-host, Andre Gaynor.
Hello.
Andre, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. Tired and ready for another great episode.
So tonight we're gonna basically keep it short and sweet with a one-off segment, basically covering the Chappelle Show. The most iconic sketch comedy show of the 2000s.
Without a doubt.
Basically, no argument. It is basically in living color times 10.
Very bold statement.
Touching political topics, touching racial topics, touching sex, like gender-specific topics, and sexual orientation topics before it actually became taboo to do so.
Absolutely.
This show itself actually was a pioneer in itself for doing so.
Yes.
But before that, let's get the commercials out of the way. Tonight's Mark and Andre Podcast Show is brought to you by none other than my proud sponsor, Game Swappers. Game Swappers, buy, sell, and trade your retro games and next-gen consoles. That's PS4 and Xbox One. You can come into contact with Game Swappers via Instagram at GAMESWAPPERS. That's GAMESWAPPERS. Game Swappers, buy, sell, and trade. Just to let you guys know is that this Sunday is going to be the second monthly installment of the Retro Respect event held at the Finish Line Sports Bar and Grill over in Pomona, California, over on White Avenue by the Fairplex. To come into more details with that, just go to Game Swappers' Instagram page. But other than that, if you are in the intent of sharing the Mark and Andre Podcast Show or the Pay-Per-View Wrestling Podcast or Retro Collecting 101 Podcast, all you have to do to get the 10% discount towards your retro game purchases at Game Swappers is take a screenshot, share with one of the employees at Game Swappers, and you'll be able to get the 10% off. Or if you're not in the interest of sharing, getting the 10% discount towards your retro games, and you want 10% more towards your retro game trade-ins, simply do the same thing, and you'll be able to get whatever you want to trade in, whether it's your old Super Nintendo, your old PlayStation, your old 3DO.
Damn, the 3DO.
Yeah,
just sitting on the 3DO.
Exactly. I still have a 3DO that I haven't even taken out of the box, but I bought. So that's how much it's staying on the shelf.
If you're just sitting on the 3DO, just
exactly.
like waiting.
So Andre, let's go with this. Let's go with the first question here because I didn't even write this down. But what was your first impression of the Chappelle Show? Like, how did you feel? How did you get wind of this amazing show?
You know, it's funny. I'm trying to remember when I caught wind of it because I know I still caught it in its first season, and it was just one of those shows where I guess, you know, being a black kid, they were saying there's this really dope black comedian out that has this amazing show.
Yeah, it
was word of mouth more than anything.
Yeah,
and then when I initially watched it, I was like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah,
he's allowed to say this and do this on television.
Yeah,
you know, and he had this this very broad appeal that hit my type of humor at the time, which some would consider, you know, whiter than black. But he had this perfect middle ground where he could joke for both sides. Yeah. He had the perfect blend of white comedy and black comedy. And I always thought that was just crazy, especially because, you know, it was very controversial for its time. Yeah. I mean, it's so quaint now, but back then it was like, holy crap, how is he getting away with this? Especially, you know, like the R. Kelly skit. Yeah. How do you say something like that? You know, get away with a whole skit that's that disturbing? Looking
back at Chappelle's Show, I think it definitely took America by storm. We were in a point in America in time where society in America couldn't talk about certain issues.
Right.
But being discussed on Chappelle's Show, laced with a comedic touch, made it semi-acceptable.
Yes. Yes.
You know, I felt when the first time I got wind of it was when the friend a friend of ours, Jonathan Ford, actually got me in touch with one of the episodes where it actually went off to this Clayton Bixby guy.
Yes.
Clayton Bixby was, if you guys don't know about the Chappelle Show, was this guy, this blind black gentleman who was actually a white supremacist. So throughout the whole skit, this guy was just ragging on African Americans as a whole. But keep in mind, the whole time he's a blind black man.
He was raised
in an all blind white school, but then they just figured, you know what? Let's just say he's white, and that will cover all the bases. So now he's like one of the pioneers of all like white supremacist books.
But they can't let him be seen. But he's too important to the movement.
Yeah. No, and it's funny too, in the heat of racial issues within film, like you have to be politically accurate within film now, ethnicity wise.
Yes.
Watching it now, some of the stuff is now unacceptable to talk about.
Right. I don't know how that happened. Like, there was this age where you couldn't say something, and then Dave hopped in right when you could say something, and he kind of counteracted against that whole PC, I guess that PC era. Yeah. And then now we've kind of fallen right back into the PC era, if not worse.
Yeah, exactly. Do you feel that the Clayton Bixby skit wouldn't be able to be played today?
I think it would. For us to be offended nowadays, it's not. I don't know. As a consumer, it's hard for me to be offended or controversy to kick like it used to.
Yeah.
But just the fact that it would be around this time where all the this series of shootings and all that, if that's what you're regarding to, or you're just saying modern.
Well, in today's day and age, would you think that Clayton Bixby sketch would be able to be played today? Would that play out today in today's?
You know who'd actually get mad at the skit? White people. White people would be offended by that skit and then try to use it as a way to say that it's injustice towards African American people. Yeah. They'll be mad for black people for the skit.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see there's so many groups for things. So I think there'd be a group somewhere that'd be offended by it. We have so many outlets of expression where a person doesn't like something. So some group would be offended by the sketch and then they'd completely overlook the comedy.
Within Chappelle's Show, and I posted a photo earlier this week on Instagram, but Chappelle's Show Season 1 is the most purchased season box set. Well, the most purchased DVD season in all of DVD history. And that's something to take in because it just the examples out there that this show was actually something to be reckoned with. Yes. I mean, I remember trying to find Chappelle's Show everywhere. I tried Best Buy. Mm-hmm. I tried every facet of like electronic media. Mm-hmm. But then I was able to find it at Virgin Records over in Ontario Mills. And I was able to find the last copy. Yeah, exactly. And I was able to find it, at a markup, but it was one of the only copies. And it was going to be like that for the next couple weeks because this shit sold millions of copies. Mm-hmm. So I'm still finding this at thrift stores today, but that goes to show you like there's a tremendous volume of this series out because of how popular the show was.
It's a breath of fresh air for sure. Especially for its time.
Yeah.
For its time, it was something that nobody was doing. The format was simple. I think one thing also, he had the charisma to be on stage live. They didn't do a pre-recorded segment like by themselves in some empty room leading into sketches. Yeah. No, they went into a room full of people. I mean, it's been done before. Yeah. There are other shows like Mr. Show and stuff like that, but they were much older. And Dave Chappelle just had much better on-stage charisma. Yeah. He was naturally funny. So he, like, a lot of those lead-ins to the sketches were done on the spot. They were all riffed. And he did such an excellent job with it, they didn't have to script those parts. So it wasn't cheesy. Yeah. So if he would just naturally tell a joke and then lead into the next thing. Yeah.
Dave Chappelle, at his core, is naturally a funny comedian.
Very funny.
But for him to have his ideas plus added a couple of writers... Mm-hmm. basically magnified his writings plus with the additions of the other writers to it. It took it to a whole new level, to so much, to greater heights, to that of which is Chappelle's Show.
Yes, yes.
And
the first season, because we're talking particularly about that, it was pretty cheap. It was a very cheap season. He didn't have money, so he worked with very minimal sets and stages, small locations, and he made all of that work for himself.
The pilot episode is very, how would I put this? Very, very generous in the fact that they used all of that one camera. They used, they got really. You could tell that they were able to pinch every penny out of that whole cast, the whole crew.
Yes.
There's a couple of guys that play a couple of other roles within other skits. But to take something out of the first season of Chappelle Show is just this first season brought on the hellstorm, the positive hellstorm of that of which is the Chappelle Show.
Yes.
And this thing just got it. I mean, it just snowballed.
The momentum
from the
was
first episode
incredible.
to the second. I mean, the first episode had the Clayton Bixby episode, but then from the second to the third, you're talking. I think it was either the third or the fourth episode, but where they were talking about where black people actually get reparations for slavery.
Oh my God!
Oh, it was such a comedic skit because the as soon as the black people got their checks, they were over at liquor stores trying to cash them.
They essentially used it for the wrong things, which in reality, that's what would happen.
And it's not that far from the truth.
And that's the controversy of it. The black community was like, they laughed, but it was upsetting too, because it's like, you made us look like idiots. But in reality, if you give all these people reparations and they're in the Bronx and they're in the hood, they're gonna fucking buy. I'm not a truck driver. These are cigarettes.
Yeah, I have enough cigarettes to last me and my family for years. I'm rich, biatch. Or the one where Tron had a hot hand in a dice game amidst the reparations and bought a baby straight cash.
Yes.
That, to me, was one of the funniest parts of the skit because he was like, nah, girl, I bought this baby straight cash. But not only is a black man just buying a baby, but he just bought it straight with money.
Because he has it.
Because he has it.
And it shows the mentality of a group of people and why, like, from a political standpoint, why it's not a good idea to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they're not using it to uplift themselves. They're not buying better homes. They're buying stupid shit.
Yeah.
And I always thought that skit was hard. It was, like, really harsh, but it was a very smart critique. So he slipped in his political ideas through the comedy, which most, some comedies do pull it off, but I think for it to work from the African-American perspective... he did a very good job at coming from the black perspective. Yeah. But still doing it in a way that appealed to every race.
Yeah, you could tell that there was a general umbrella effect.
Yes.
After he basically touched base with the minority side, he was able to umbrella the every other race because every other race was slightly chimed in sometimes.
Yes.
Like even with the reparations skit. I remember when Chuck Taylor was going on the break, he's all like, crime has dropped to absolute zero. And then Chuck Taylor says, he's like, what? Did Mexicans get reparations too? He's all like, look, I don't think that's gonna air because only, I don't think people are gonna listen to that because Mexican people only only watch Telemundo. Like, there was definitely funny things, but I personally think that the show's hilarious to this day. I know that America now is too PC for this show. It's a bit undeniable. It's a bit undeniable on the comedic side. So what I mean by that, despite the fact that some of the topics are going to be a little bit too politically incorrect, I know for sure that the comedy will override that. But now you cannot put that type of comedy on a semi-major cable network.
True. Well,
because there was a lot of gay slurs. There was a lot of racial slurs, and you just can't get away with that now. Just because in the midst of the heat now, we're dealing with a bunch of racial issues. We're dealing with a bunch of
he couldn't finish a season.
Yeah, exactly. We're dealing with a bunch of pro-gay issues, and that's not a fault of Dave Chappelle. That's not a fault of the media or where they're positioning everything. It's just how everyone feels now in this day and age.
Right. And I try to look at Key and Peele because I do feel like they are some form of evolution of the Dave Chappelle format.
Yeah.
Due to the fact that they also have that very perfectly split comedy that hits everybody.
Yeah.
But they don't do it in such a controversial manner.
Yeah.
Right? They do touch on subject matter, but it's kind of like Keanu where it's almost internal. It's very simplified. It's not too outrageous. But where it came to Dave Chappelle, it was a very outright, blatant, jacked up type of perspective.
I'm gonna talk about this.
Like, and in a weird way, it's almost like it's offensive. Like when we watch the Real World skit, it's like, dang, if we got a gang of ignorant black people in this world.
Yeah, versus
put them all in one house, they're going to destroy everything. Like, they're not going to respect whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
And that was the perspective he was trying to share. Like, this is why they look at us a certain way. Because if you do put us in this situation, look how ridiculous we act. Like,
yeah, the reverse real world effect was definitely exploited by Dave Chappelle.
Yes.
And that's why, if you watch any episode of the Real World, after that, you could tell that they were acting appropriate because now that formula got exploited.
Yes.
Of course, watch a Real World episode where one African American gentleman is in there with a bunch of crazy white people trying to party every night.
Right.
You'll see something come out. And it's by design.
Right.
That's why they do the Real World. They
want to see somebody lose
need
their
those
mind.
oddities.
Yes.
They need if it's not a minority, it's going to be someone of gay,
someone gay, someone different. Period.
Someone different. Exactly.
It could be a goth or something, like just somebody that's outrageous to them. And he definitely exposed that formula. And then there's just a lot of other subtle jokes where I think there was one he was doing. This wasn't the first season. I forgot who it was though. It was a older black musician, right? He's like an R&B star, and he was like, "Well, what would happen if we used all the rap techniques and craps from current videos and older music?" Yeah. And it's like this really old school R&B artist.
Oh,
and he starts
talking about when Nat King Cole did Christmas.
King Cole, thank you. Start pouring champagne.
He started pouring champagne on a chick,
and it was like, "That's right, bitch." And that
King Cole records coming at you.
Exactly, and that concept was, look how far we strayed and how out of place it looks for older music that was a better representation of us, how it looks.
Because now that's an exploitation of what current music looked like at that point in time.
Exactly.
Because you put it in the context of the 1950s.
Yes. You use the 1950s to show what our modern day era looks like, and it doesn't mix well. It doesn't look good at all. And I remember that skit actually being offensive. Like, people didn't laugh at it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was hilarious because I got the idea.
Yeah.
And he keeps trying to drop those kind of ideas where it's just like, look at how we get viewed.
Another episode that I think wouldn't have played out would be the racial draft episode.
Okay.
Where the white people ended up getting O.J. Simpson. The Chinese people ended up getting the Wu-Tang Clan. Black people ended up getting Tiger Woods.
And Mexicans got Antonio like some random Mexican kid.
Yeah.
So the white people wouldn't take him and adopt him into the foster system.
And
Julio Banderas or something like that.
Yeah. The funny thing about the racial draft is that this is one of those additional skits where it would not play out today. Because you cannot, in the world of now where everything is, like in Gods of Egypt. Mm-hmm. You got a lot of flack because a lot of Set wasn't black. A lot of these gods of Egypt weren't designated by their calligraphy instilled ethnicity.
Right. And it wasn't consistent.
Yeah,
it didn't follow through.
So plus you add that to modern times with the racial draft. Like, what would happen if someone tried to racially draft I don't know, like
Drake,
current event people. So Drake, Bruce Jenner, Chaz Bono, who's now like a he or I don't even know the gender of
all these switches. Everybody's changing the game.
So it's just like place that in modern times. That shit wouldn't fly.
No,
Chappelle's show. I want to tell you like this, and I'm still gonna get into more skits, but I mean Chappelle's show came and went. But I think if you would have kept going with Chappelle's show, it would have had to acclimate itself to the PC because being politically correct, a show is not going to set the precedent for you being politically correct. It's not going to be the template for everyone else being politically correct. No, politically correct is going to make itself known upon the show.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yes, but here's the thing. They probably would have used that for fuel for their jokes, though.
Yeah.
They would have turned it into a comedy concept, but it would have kind of shifted the idea and the dynamic of the show. But peep this.
Yeah.
If the Chappelle show didn't stop, then we wouldn't have all these other great shows. It's like that weird effect. It's like the Jay Dilla effect. So if Jay Dilla didn't die, how many of these other artists would have emerged after
because of the shine that was left behind Jay Dilla?
Because once Dave was gone, we needed it. Like, we were like, well, where the hell are we going to get our Chappelle fix? Yes.
Like, all these, and everyone tried to come out.
Even Jeff Dunham, the puppet guy, he's a fantastic puppeteer, but he got a show in this Dave Chappelle format because
They try to make it
work. They try to make it work. So many comedians came out with the exact same format of his show. The Nick Swartzen's Imaginary Time or whatever.
Oh man,
Nick Swartzen had a show.
There's quite a few of short-lived shows. Like I see more of Mind of Mencia season 2s, season 1s available for purchase like at like thrift stores versus me. Every time I find Chappelle Show season 1, I get it because I know that in a couple of years' time it's going to be worth something.
Oh, I hope he doesn't do another show though. He's back, you know that, right?
I don't think he's going to do another show. I really don't think that Comedy Central is going to have enough money for the guy. I really don't.
Netflix is some crazy crap.
Plus enough money for Dave, but enough money where Dave thinks he actually is worth.
Oh,
because he's been out of the game for a long time,
and his own status is so overwhelmingly it's peaked. It's still peaked somehow when he's been gone all this time. I don't know. Who knows?
He's still. Yeah, I remember recently he sold out the Palladium, and granted, I mean he's Dave Chappelle, and,
right.
and granted the Palladium's a great venue to be at, but I mean he is solely riding on
the power of his name
of Chappelle Show.
Yeah,
and this show is almost 10 years old, and on the year of 2013 is when 10 years have went by when we're talking about Chappelle Show. But fuck, we were watching it yesterday. We were watching it a couple years ago. This thing is still relevant. And you're almost seeing a lot of its ideas come to fruition from the show. No more than 40 episodes, less than 40 episodes.
Yes.
Because season 1 has about 12 episodes, and then the next season I would imagine has 12 more, no more than 15. So you're looking at 24 to 27, no more than 30, plus counting the lost episodes.
Yeah, and because
the lost episodes weren't even manifested. I mean, weren't even created by him.
Wait, so he had a season 1, season 2, and he had a season 3, right?
The season 3 fell short because
season 3, and then he left.
Yeah,
and then he said he had actually wrote ahead. He had finished all the episodes first, and then he left.
Yeah,
so he finished writing, and then was like, figure it out, and he's out of there.
So I mean, you're talking about not a lot of episodes. Like even. Seinfeld had 9 seasons.
Yeah.
The Simpsons still going on 10 plus seasons.
Going.
Like the Chappelle Show is so iconic because of the Rick James skit, the Clayton Bigsby skit, the Prince skit, the Mad Real World skit, the Racial Draft skit, the N-word family, the one where the white family has the last name of the racial expletive. That was controversial within itself, and I'll let you take the helm of that. But it's like he was Dave Chappelle was the milkman, always talking about how they were late on paying.
My favorite family, the niggas.
Like talking about how were they like so. He's like, I know when it comes to when you guys are paying bills, like you guys are always late.
Niggas are always. I know how niggas are when it comes to paying their bills. Like, I know how you niggas are, and he's deliberately playing with the actual word, and he's playing with the last name, and he does it so cleverly because he's like, "Oh, nigga, please, like stupid shit." So that sketch was very, it was on the line, and because he has white people saying it too.
I feel redundant, but it's just a factor of what Dave Chappelle has done. Is like that episode would not have played out nowadays,
and I can't see another comedy troupe trying that.
Definitely not.
And then,
they'd have to have one black person in the troupe.
And then they soften the blow at the end of the sketch with the wetback show.
Oh yeah, he's like, we're the web. He's like, no, he's like the last name's Sanchez, and then he's all.
And I find that offensive, nigger.
Yeah, and he was just like, oh, I'm just kidding. We are the wetbacks. But
ooh, that's really good. Like just the tug and pull, the bait and switches. He had technique. He could write. His delivery. Dave Chappelle's not an actor. He's not an actor, but he pulled these sketches all perfect. He almost doesn't, kind of like Jerry Seinfeld. Yeah. He doesn't fit into his sketches sometimes.
Yeah, you notice that in Half Baked, he was barely in some of the only time he actually really like became magnified within Half Baked was the times where he actually only had like $7 and he had to take Mary Jane out on a date. He had that moment. He barely had a few moments because all the other characters had their own little thing. Yes,
but that's the charm of Chappelle. And, I mean, as a performer, as an actor, it didn't matter if he can act or not because it didn't matter. Like, in the context of his sketches, he was this weird anomaly that didn't fit in the world. Like the milkman, the nigger, that's the best example right there. the milkman, he's acting totally out of character. In the context of the world, everybody's very particular, and it's supposed to be set in 1950s, and it's supposed to be very straightforward.
Yeah.
And then he comes in, hey, y'all! It's a dumb voice.
Yeah.
He's completely, like, cartoonish. The way he walks, the way he holds his milk. Hey, I came to brought the milk.
Yeah.
I can't steal chicken from my wife. I get my fingers bit. Making all these dumb faces.
Yeah.
And he almost doesn't fit in the worlds of his sketches.
Yeah.
Even the real world sketch, he has this very jarring voice that.
Oh, when he plays Tron,
for Tron, his voice is very unnatural and jarring, and it's so fake. But he does it, and it doesn't matter because he pulls it off so well.
The Chappelle Show was a very pivotal show. And for the early 2000s, it was a less congested version of In Living Color, with more politically incorrect content than In Living Color. In Living Color failed by not being controversial enough.
You think so?
Yeah, and there were some skits like Tommy Davidson's Black or White skit with Michael Jackson, where he actually exploited he was actually being black or white. There was, like, you could tell there was a lot of key differences there. Yeah,
well, I mean, when it comes to how In Living Color did it, I mean, they were working. How do you say it? They had the odds set against them. In reality, if In Living Color didn't exist, then we wouldn't be able to have the controversy of the Chappelle Show.
Yeah,
because In Living Color it played with ideas, but it didn't go far enough to destroy its own image.
Yeah, In Living Color definitely rolled out the red carpet for Chappelle's show.
Oh, without a doubt. And I feel like Chappelle, he came in and said, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, you can do whatever you want to me. I'm not responsible for other people's lives.
Yeah, even a lot of people don't give him credit for this one, but the Roots one, the Roots skit that the Roots commercial, the 20 box set DVD one he did. Oh my gosh, like, that show was funny, but you were still exploiting the fact of, like, blacks were being exploited for slavery.
Yes,
in Roots.
But he also managed to find a way to make
to make it funny,
and to make it actually lighthearted. Because the concept of there's this comedic rule, right? Amongst black comedians, and the rule is if you're going to disrespect black people, if you're going to go that direction and kind of play with dark territory, you have to give them a win. You have to give blacks a win. So I'll use a quick comparison. So in Key and Peele, they have a sketch where it's a couple of slaves, or they're off the boat and they're getting auctioned. Yeah. Right? And the joke is there's 3 of them. And they always pick one, and the other 2 never get picked. And they start getting mad. Like, well, what's wrong with me? I'm a good-looking slave. I'm buff. I'm this and that. Like, that was the concept. Like, okay, what's the problem here? Why aren't you picking me? Like, they want to get pulled into slavery. And that's funny. Like, they build up to it, and it's really hilarious. Yeah. But nobody wins. They end up slaves. Nobody, there's no happy ending, technically. No. But in the Roots sketch, perfectly, we have this where Kunta's getting beat, and then he gets off like, "Hey, dog!"
you're really whipping.
You really be hitting me, dog. And then he like rolls up on him, and the dude falls on the floor. And then he comes back, and then he jumps back up and acts like he's, that there's the win technically because it shows things in a lighthearted manner, and there's a win there. He does something, he fights for himself, and then it's a funny joke at the same time. Yeah, that whole sketch, the fact that there's bloopers for something as horrid as Roots. Yeah, like Roots is a horrible, like, I won't say a bad film, but just the imagery and the story.
It's very intense.
It's intense and dark. Yeah. And to play with the concept of having bloopers for this dark world or this dark film, that's really great. That's incredible writing to make it funny.
So you look at Chappelle's show and then you see inappropriate stereotypes at gays, African Americans, Native Americans, Muslims, whites, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans. Chappelle's show was all about equality. But I'll tell you this. It was equality of all of you ethnic races will get made fun of equally. Yes. That is the term of him getting off with being, I'd say, appropriate. Yes. With every ethnic background. Because, dude, there was no boundaries with Dave Chappelle's comedy show, Chappelle Show. There was, gay. There was Ask a Gay Dude. There was a lot of like very, I wouldn't say inappropriate questions, but very questions that were very honest and provocative. Yes. With gay dudes and
what's
with
black people. What's up with the rainbow, man?
Yeah, it's
what's up with the rainbow?
Like, I want to ask all you fruity pants, what's up with the rainbow? It's like, damn, like in 04 and 03 we were talking like that. Yes. And it's a breath of fresh air that we're talking a less intense that we were back then. I mean, even back then.
Maybe because we're under the guise of all these groups being offended.
Yeah, and it's
PC.
like, 10 years ago, if like, oh, dude, that's gay.
Yeah,
like that is commonplace in rhetoric back then. But now it's taboo to say it.
Right, you have to make sure you got to look around before.
Yeah,
you say
exactly. Because now a lot of gay people are more comfortable with how it is, and we have to accept that because we don't want to be offensive towards anyone.
Whereas Dave didn't give a damn.
He didn't give a flying fuck.
Same context in Ask a Gay Dude.
Yeah,
he gets a win. Right?
Yeah.
So this guy asks a very offensive question, and that guy gets the opportunity to return with a joke.
Yeah.
To come back at that guy's dumb question.
Yeah.
The same guy, what do you think about this, huh? You want this? Huh? You want this?
Oh, yeah. When D. Snyder asks, he, bends down. He's like, do you want this? And he bends down towards his ass. And then the Mario Cantone is all like, "Oh, you tease," and then he turns around and starts throwing up.
Exactly,
fucking hilarious.
We get the win,
the retribution for the gay stereotype.
Exactly. So there's a balance. That's the perfect word. Balance. There's balance here. Okay, you can offend me, but you also get a win at the end of the sketch.
What would I'm going on to the last few parts of this segment. I only have a few questions more because we want to cut this short, but. What was one of your favorite segments of Chappelle's Show? It could count as season 1 or season 2. That doesn't matter. But I mean, I want to keep that. That way, we can keep it an open discussion for talks.
Well, you could start because I don't want to pick the same general. Everybody loves the Prince, and
which is why I'm going to go into this one. I like great moments in hookup history.
Oh shit!
Where you had the guy who invented the hole in the popcorn at the movie theater. So picture great moments in hookup history. Picture NFL films with a touch of guys doing these unprecedented feats in dating. Where this one guy invented the hole in the popcorn. Where you take your girl out to a movie and then you slip your cock through a fucking popcorn bucket and your girl digs in the popcorn bucket and feels a buttery surprise. Dave Chappelle did it to the best extent because it's just like this. He played it out to be in the 50s. So appropriately, he got a white person to be the guy who did it. And he's all like, you know what? How do you think I got this? And then he points to his cold sore herpes. Or the other time where he played, Dave Chappelle played some guy who kind of looked like Boogaloo Shrimp off of Breakin'.
Oh,
where he had the white and the black suit and the Jerry curl, and he was all he's like, "Girl, you giving me Pac-Man fever." He's like, "Ow, ow, ow, ow." And at the end he starts breakdancing and shit. He ends up pulling the feet off where he faced 2 cock blockers to get to his one chick.
Wow, yeah.
And he was all like, "I got pizza at my crib." So he ended up sleeping on top of the 2 black chicks, banging the one that he wanted to get. And then the other hookup history one was when in season 1 where so picture it's very intense. It's like dun, 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 NFL film soundtrack dun, 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 dun. And so one of the guys has his eyes set on this girl named Ashley, nicknamed Smashley because of how many times she's got touched.
Right.
So the bartender's like, "Anyone want to take this drunk, crazy woman home?" And as soon as he throws her keys to Homeboy, to Dave Chappelle's character, Donnell Rawlings' character comes out and intercepts it. And then the guy from NFL Films is like, it was something's third interception of the week. He was on a hot streak. And it's just funny because you look at Dave Chappelle and you cope with the guy because he honestly is telling this athletic feat of a story.
Yes.
So it ends up concluding with Dave Chappelle's character saying he pulled the oldest trick in the book. He's like, "Oh, you forgot your scarf." And then she's like, "Oh my God, that is my scarf." And he's like, "But it wasn't her scarf." Oh my gosh. It was very hilarious to me. Great moments in hookup history to me was very funny to me.
No, see, then it's those little one-offs that you're discussing.
Yeah.
Then when Keeping It Real Goes Wrong, for sure, was one of my favorites. Because that's the problem with our culture.
Yeah.
It's like a statement on our own people.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's this concept of having to always be the realist. I gotta be real. I gotta be.
Yeah,
I gotta
like,
be.
Fuck that.
But
like,
no, there are
about
areas in life that you can't keep it real. It's not gonna work.
Yeah,
and most of the time, these sketches
there's times
disaster.
where keeping it real goes wrong.
Yes, and because you're not supposed to keep it real all the time.
No.
So that was definitely one of my favorites. Actually, I don't know why this one skit. I didn't initially enjoy it when I first saw it.
Yeah.
But I got it when I watched it later and I got older. And it was the effects of music on people.
Oh, with John Mayer.
With John Mayer.
Oh my god,
and
dude.
He goes to the barbershop. But, hey, shut the fuck up. Like, it was perfect.
Oh, wait, because he played like some random ass like jazz, not a jazz ballad.
We're just playing
this is like a rock riff.
Yeah, if you play guitar, period, they don't want to hear that shit. But then they pull out Questlove, and then all of a sudden everybody's grooving.
Yeah.
Then dudes want to start rapping.
Yeah, and then he started rapping in Spanish, and all the Puerto Ricans started getting off.
So that was one for sure. And then hands down, Wayne Brady episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Wayne Brady.
That was one of the things that saved the season 3 part of it, because that's when Dave Chappelle was out. No one knew where he was. This is where he did his whole little. I just wanted to go to Africa for a bit, like not because he wanted to get like. I remember a lot of people were saying he wanted to get like religious sanctification or like religious like justification.
Stories.
It's just bullshit. And then at the end of the day, Oprah got the scoop, and he's like, I just wanted to get away.
Yeah,
like he is a small town guy. He lives back in Ohio with his farm. He doesn't give a fuck.
Right.
Like, he is like what Brock Lesnar does. Brock Lesnar lives out in the woods. Like he doesn't give a fuck about people. Same thing, But it's just to draw the two people together, because these guys are just like. They thrive on being alone,
right? But in the context of the Wayne Brady episode, the deeper layer is he's easily replaceable. That's the context.
Yeah.
That was the joke.
That's what I forgot that was the underlying issue.
He was like, fuck y'all. I'm not getting paid enough. And I'm worthy. I'm great. And then they go, "Oh, you're fired. We have something for that.
Exactly.
We have something."
Wayne Brady show.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, we anticipated this. We have something for that." Fucking call up Wayne Brady, because Wayne Brady is like the
next step.
The black entertainer for white people, like in reality.
Because think of Wayne Brady, ladies.
That's
and
like their
gentlemen,
secret weapon.
On the Spreaker, listening live on Spreaker.com. Think of Wayne Brady as, if Dave Chappelle were to quit Chappelle's Show, think of Wayne Brady as the, in case of emergency, break glass to unleash Wayne Brady. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what you have to do.
And for you guys that don't know, Wayne Brady is a very clean comedian. I would say, that's a weird comparison. But
what show is he on?
He was on...
Whose Line Is It Anyway? I know for sure
the Wayne Brady Show, which was kind of a variety type of show, and then he does hosting for certain types of shows now.
He does various game shows,
he's very quick witted, and he's very hilarious.
He is one of the best
very
improvs,
clean.
Guys.
So if Dave Chappelle was Eminem, then Wayne Brady would be Will Smith. Period. Just because he takes the cleanest route, and he's still commercially viable. Yeah. So the joke is, they get Wayne Brady to take over Dave Chappelle's show, and he's running the show for, an entirety of it. And then Dave Chappelle comes for the last sketch and goes, "Don't trust this man. He's crazy. He's not who you think he is." Yeah. And that final sketch is with him chilling with Wayne Brady, and Wayne Brady is this evil, smoking crack.
Telling Dave Chappelle to smoke crack.
He's a pimp, and let's stop at the ATM real quick to get some money. You a little short, ladies. Does Wayne Brady gotta get out here and choke up? Like, he's this crazy... And first of all, this is the first time, like, they said they had to take multiple takes with him, because Wayne Brady couldn't say bitch.
Yeah.
He really couldn't do it. He was like, "Can we just say something else? Can I slap a lady?" And they have footage of him fighting this scene. He's like, I can't say it. And Dave finally convinced him. He's like, this would be the moment that everybody... Like, it's like...
Yeah, because this would break the shell off of the perception of people thinking that Wayne Brady is
this miraculous, kind-hearted,
the
clean
white-black merger of Jesus.
So he took a risk with his own reputation to do this sketch, and it was the funniest sketch. Yeah. It was one of the funniest sketches I've seen on the show. Yeah. On top of the obvious ones, but that one I was crying because I was a fan of Wayne Brady. I watched Whose Line Is It? And I'm like, they got him to do this?
Whose Line Is It Anyway is hilarious.
They got him to do it, though, So I thought it was perfectly acted out, and to see both of these comedy kings in the same sketch was great writing, great chemistry, and I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
One of the best, without a doubt, the Wayne Brady sketch.
One of the most underrated sketches that they have. It was every time Tyrone Biggums showed up. Tyrone Biggums was the answer to all of what people thought of what like anti-drug was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember when Dave Chappelle brought Tyrone Biggums first on, his character, and he was just like, you remember when Reagan used to bring out Drug Awareness Week, and at the last day to like really exemplify the issue, he would bring out a crackhead
and take him to the class.
Yeah,
and that was the first time I sucked dick for crack,
dude. You know what dog food tastes like? It tastes just like it smells. Delicious. Like fuck. Like and you know what? It's like this. We've seen crackheads in New Jack City. We've seen crackheads on Don't Be a Menace in South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. We've seen crackheads in various elements of film, but we didn't see this comedic form of crackhead ever.
Is like I said,
like
cartoony.
This because being a crackhead is something like a serious issue. Because dude, being addicted to crack is like
you have to be
a certain low life piece of shit to do this.
Yes,
and it's not your fault. I mean, it's a situation of what was given to you. But fuck,
falling into addiction.
This guy was eating peanut butter and crack sandwiches. Like, dude, he was beating up kids for crack money. You tell anybody, I kill you. Like, kookiest crackhead in the town.
He was in Fear Factor. And he beasted on it because he didn't care.
He didn't give a fuck.
Because he wanted to get that money for crack.
Yeah, he would eat bull's dick for... He ate all of it before Joe Rogan... Before Joe Rogan even told you.
You gonna eat yours? Like,
yeah.
Oh
like,
my God. Standing on the hot coals and he's like, somebody cooking something? Like,
yeah. Dude. Tyrone Biggums' character is always being played out in different Comic-Cons. Because, I mean, and it's not even a factor of just the character itself. But no, you take it to an element of where, no, this show is something super popular.
Right.
Hell, I fucking just popped this in just to talk about this podcast. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I didn't do it just to drag it out and be like, fuck, I gotta watch the Chappelle show. It's like, I'm watching the Chappelle show.
And it's still great.
If I had to drag out season 2, fuck, that's even better. And in my eyes, a lot of season 2 outshined season 1, but season 1 still has that little feel for me. You know, it's always like that.
Well,
but
the concept that I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
I am a big, if that was one of your questions, is that one of your questions? Which one
exactly?
Is that? Season 2, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, season 2 was the result of season 1's success.
Exactly.
We wouldn't have the season 2 that we got because they gave him a better budget. He even joked about that. He was like, I remember first season, I was begging for this kind of this and that and this, and they said no. But now look, I'm doing great. I can do whatever I want. And next thing you know,
and now you had fucking cameos up the yin yang. You had hip hop
better music artists and guests.
Because I remember even it got to so low budget that even in season 1, they had fucking Mos Def in the passenger seat with an instrumental in the background, and Dave Chappelle was fucking driving everywhere just to have him do his single Close Edge.
Right, and
that
it
song
made
is
it
fucking
authentic
tight,
though.
It
made the show hip hop, right? Because it was so authentic how he worked with what he had, and it was actually stylistic. It worked out.
And elevate the budget.
Yes,
you elevate the precedent of what Chappelle Show was the first season. Now you have people wanting to be on Chappelle Show just for the fucking acclaim.
Yes. And then I guess, he reached a point where he was like, oh, this success has gone too far and they're going to start exploiting me. That was one of the bigger deals. They were like, yeah, they started to see something more than what my show was, and they were going to take over my ideas and pretty much take over me. So he got out of there, that was the end. Yeah,
think of what any business is. Like if any business goes from public, a private entity to public, there's investors involved.
Yeah,
investors are going to want to see their taste of what they perceive as what's going to be successful in the show.
And they saw those numbers, and they were like, oh my God, we hit gold. We're about to take this to the next level.
Yep.
And Dave was like, oh, hell no, I'm out.
Yeah. So, rightfully so. I mean...
But it worked. It worked in everyone's favor. Because now you have something that's timeless, and it didn't get killed. Or it's not Simpson status, where it's like you're just beating a dead horse, dragging the corpse around. It's what it is, and it had its period, and it influenced comedy in a way that it's going to be in history books. he is a history icon for comedy.
And I want to get this through the speaker audience, but we're talking 2 seasons of great comedic gold. Mm-hmm. The reason we're able to remember all of these lines is because there's no 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th season.
Right.
If there was a 3rd, 4th, and 5th, 6th, and 6th season, there would be a lot of people down by the wayside not knowing shit.
Right. Or just he would have burned his characters out.
Yeah. With 6 seasons, it would be hard to remember every skit.
Exactly. So, and there's always writer's fatigue. It always happens. So we got to the point where we didn't have to experience our show die in a way that was far more unpleasant than him just leaving.
Like I remember on ComedyCentral.com, and I was just like, fuck, man, I'm going to need to buy every single one of these shirts that they have. And I remember buying all the shirts. Like, I remember there was only 3 shirts. You had, like, the Chappelle Show red, like, long sleeve that I used to wear all the time. And then I had the Chappelle Show, like, there was, like, a silhouette of Dave Chappelle through there. And then there was the one where Dave Chappelle is the black president. And it says, meteor coming to Earth, black president's fault. Like, I used to think that me wearing that would get me dress code at school, like Carter. Like, I used to wear that shirt, and I'm like, fuck, man. Like, I think I'm like...
all paranoid?
I have a target on my back because it says black president's fault. I used to always have a target on my back. Think myself. And I've never, ever got caught with dress code in that manner. I was paranoid as fuck back then. But
at all times.
Look,
just naturally paranoid.
This is what made Chappelle's Show so unique. You know, it's that everyone from every race can tune in and find their niche within the show. Find their comfort ground.
Yes.
Not a lot of shows can do that. With Seinfeld, I mean, black people can't really relate to Seinfeld.
No.
Friends, a lot of minorities can't relate. Will and Grace, straight people can't relate to that. Mm-hmm. You can nitpick
a lot of
every single fucking
niches.
Show. But with Chappelle's Show, oh hell, there's an episode where if you're Puerto Rican, they make fun of so and so race. They make you'll find your place because
Koreans, Asians.
It's like racism to a certain extent if it's made very if the comedic talent, I mean not the comedic talent, excuse me, but if the comedic if everything comedy wise can be made well, it's funny, but it's still a little bit racist.
Yeah.
Like it has to be funny. Like there has to be.
It's the sake of him bringing up the stereotype is to kind of highlight it in a certain kind of way.
Exactly.
And then at the same time uplift it. Yeah. He had this really cool blend. He had the ability to highlight a stereotype and go, based on the comedy, we should fix this or it's okay.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing wrong with being this way because this is who you are. And he was very good at that. So
so I'm gonna leave my final thoughts on Chappelle's Show, and then you can leave with your final thoughts on Chappelle's Show. But what I really want to tell you guys is that I personally, within myself, hold Chappelle's Show in a very high regard. Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ, I was a fanboy for Dave Chappelle. Like if Dave Chappelle wasn't around, I wouldn't be wearing fucking Kangols.
Oh my god.
Kangols and like regular jackets and I wouldn't be dressing like him.
Yeah.
Because I did. It was so apparent. Like very really obvious. Were. Yeah. Kangols and fucking like hats and just I was doing the thing. But it was the fact that he opened the barriers for me to be able to express myself because now with all these racial barriers being broken down because of the show, I'm like, fuck, what do I have to be worried about at this point?
Right.
I speak very highly of the Chappelle Show because it's so iconic. It is what In Living Color wasn't able to do during the early 90s. Mm-hmm. But it was what what Chappelle Show was able to do during the 2000s. Nowadays you can't exploit race, you can't exploit sexual orientation to the extent of where you can make it comedic.
Exactly. Everybody's walking on eggshells.
I can tell you this. Let me summarize Chappelle's Show in one sentence to where all of Americana can actually take it home and be like, you know what? This is it. Dave Chappelle. His show was made at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
That's it.
Perfect era for his comedy and And that was it.
What things can you take away from? I mean, what is your final thought on this whole Chappelle show? Because we'll be covering season 2 a little later down the road, but that's on a later Mark and Andre podcast. But
well, as an African American, I felt that the brother David Chappelle.
Calm down there, young brother. I want to tell you, you're gonna start getting all fucking Farrakhan on me.
No, without a doubt. Yeah. I mean, from my perspective, right?
Yeah.
He was my perfect. He was perfect for me.
Exactly.
Because I was there. I was where he was. I was this black kid that was dead in the middle. Like, I understand black culture because I've lived in it, but I've also been a part of white culture because I was raised around it. Yeah. So hopping back and forth between both worlds,
yeah.
I had this kind of sense of humor that worked for both sides, but then at the same time, I've isolated from both sides.
Yeah.
So watching Dave Chappelle's like, he's me, or like, he's like a brother of mine.
Yeah.
And seeing how he wrote his jokes, he had this, like, I felt like I thought like him. So watching his show just made me happy.
Yeah.
Like, and then to see that it became popular, through his popularity, I was able to connect with more people.
Yep.
So I was basically able to joke the way I would and not be ridiculed for being different because Dave Chappelle had that same energy. Like, that was his show.
Yeah.
It was like, I can be this awkward white sounding person, or I can be this black hood dude out of nowhere without any, no questions are asked.
Exactly.
And that comedy itself and the style of comedy, once it went mainstream and it blew up in the second season, it brought so many people together. If that's one thing, for sure.
It was a lot of unity.
No, because everybody watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, Friends. Like, if they watch Friends, I'm not watching Friends. I'm watching In Living Color, whatever was hot. The Wayans brothers, I guess.
Yeah,
that's not even relevant. But everybody watched the Chappelle show, and we all had the same inside jokes.
Yeah, and this kid, and I hate to barge into what your final thought is, but you bring up a good point because now you're getting to the fact that "I'm Rick James, bitch" is probably one of the most iconic lines of the 2000s that will never ever be taken away because it was made on hats.
Yes.
It was made on fucking t-shirts.
Yes.
Dude,
it was basically a meme.
That show brought along, that specific episode brought along everyone to watch Chappelle's show from season 1 to the midpoint of season 2 and beyond.
Did you know that people actually started buying like Rick James and Prince material after the sketches?
I wouldn't doubt it.
Right.
I wouldn't doubt it made Prince and Rick James a little richer.
That influence, though. So, yeah, the show changed me quite a bit. And it made me so... It came, like you said, at the perfect time.
Yeah.
I didn't care about how offensive it was. And as an older person, when I went back, I see more of the layers of what he was doing.
Yeah.
But back then, just from the sake of comedy and me being into comedy, it was just like, thank God this exists.
Yeah.
And then, for him to do his show the way he did, he had hip-hop guests. He had all of the underground dudes doing shows.
Yeah, he helped Mos Def a lot.
Yes, and it's just, it was bonkers. The show shouldn't have existed, in my eyes, for it to get away with what it did.
Yeah.
But as far as my own impact and the impact of my own culture, I think it opened up the world for guys like us to be accepted. And it really... I'm kind of glad it ended the way it did.
Yeah,
because when it ended the way it did, it actually created more, potential comedies and shows.
It created more acclaim towards the show itself because it's like, fuck, Chappelle show's no more. Let's buy season 1 and 2 to actually get back on this or to actually catch up on it.
It turned it into a classic even further because there's not more for us to consume.
Only 2 seasons. Only 2 seasons. Just try to fathom that.
But then think about this. From the from Comedy Central's perspective, they got so desperate they were just like, we'll try anybody and hopefully we can hit gold again.
Mina Mencia, the Jeff Dunham show, Nick Swartzen's show.
So many more. There's so many. But anyway, at the end of the day, it influenced comedy and it changed comedy. Yeah. Because comedians had to start finding ways to be more universal. Mm-hmm. Then we start running into shows like Louis, which came much later. But they all started to use similar formats to what the Dave Chappelle show was. Yeah. And the Chappelle show. And even Nick Kroll. Nick Kroll's joke for his show is called Kroll Show. Because he took Chappelle's idea.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle, so it's Kroll Show, Chappelle Show. And he uses the same motif and everything.
Yeah.
There are all of these guys that are inspired by Dave or inspired by Dave's just comedy in general that we have today.
Yeah.
And
that tried to strike gold twice and wasn't able to do it.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, comedy is what it is thanks to him. I don't know about our current Dave Chappelle. I don't really like who he is now, but that's another subject.
You and I both,
another,
just because of, I I don't know. I don't know whether the fact if he got just because he got older, wiser, who knows. But anyway, I want to let you guys know is that this portion of the Mark and Andre podcast show was brought to you by none other than our proud sponsor, Game Swappers. Game Swappers, buy, sell, and trade your retro games and next-gen consoles. That's PS4 and Xbox One. You could come into contact with Game Swappers via Instagram at GAME. They're not going to be like, hey, man, you can't sell here. No, they'll be more than willing to bring you along and say, hey, you know what? You're a brother of the retro community. We want you to share the wealth.
And then I fall into glory.
Yeah, and then you could sell for like however hiked up prices
$7,000.
You want Contra $30.
You want Dig Dug? You want Dig Dug or what?
I want Bitcoin. Pay me through PayPal and then I'll transfer through Bitcoin. Bastard. But anyway, so I was gonna let you know, guys, is that if you guys do share the Mark and Andre podcast show, just share it. Share it, you share
it, goddammit.
The Retro Collecting 101 episodes, the Pay-Per-View Wrestling podcast episodes, or the Mark and Andre podcast episode, the only film, entertainment, and conspiracy TV podcast show on Spreaker.com. You'll be able to get 10% off towards your retro game purchases at Game Swappers.
That's right.
So instead of you paying $50 for Turtles in Time, you'll pay $40.
That's right.
Or you'll be able to get 10% more towards your retro game trade-ins. So if you have like Super Nintendos to give up, if you have like various video games to give up, all you have to do is give them all the video games, show them the share, you'll get 10% more towards your trade-ins.
Don't you hear his passion, damn it? Don't you hear it? Fuck.
Andre, I'm gonna leave it to you for your shameless promotion on Lyricology 101.
All right. So, yeah, if you guys don't know, I teach and analyze hip-hop music. So if you guys are interested in learning how to rap, or if you're just interested in the intricacies of hip-hop songwriting, I actually have a series of classes. If you're not interested in the classes, I'm just going to send you to my YouTube channel. I've hit 5,000 subscribers as of yesterday. So, yes, it's 5,000 subscribers in less than 3 months. That's crazy. That's ridiculous. So I'm very grateful for the progress, and the momentum shall continue. So if you guys are interested, what the channel is basically I take songs and I break down all of their lyrics and their techniques and express how they have been created, the concept of how it's been done, why it's been done. I even go into analyzing the music itself, the beat, and just I show you all the details of the music. And then on the other end, I have other shows where I show you how to do certain rap techniques individually. If you guys are interested, check it out at youtube.com/Andre Gainer. Once again, that's youtube.com/AndreGainer. And check me out there, and all of my other social media and other information will be there. So if you guys are interested, check it out. Mm-hmm. We love you guys so much, and thank you for listening. Yeah. Our battery is dying, so we actually ended perfectly.
Exactly.
I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you guys so much, and check out the Chappelle Show if you haven't seen it somehow.
Yes, please.
Somehow.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the Mark and Andre podcast show. A very short segment, but nonetheless, we do try to bring the quality in every segment that we provide. Other than that, you guys have a good night.
Bye.